Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Unconventional Outdoorsman. We're here in the Outdoors Cave once again. Today we're going to be going over three of my favorite catfishing setups. So I tend to go for bigger catfish most times. There's nothing wrong with if you've got an old Zebco 33 or something like that, using one of those. But I'm going to start with probably my most complex one and work my way down. So I'm going to start basically higher end to lower end. This is not necessarily the highest end you can get, not even close, but a good bait casting one. Now I like to use this. This is a Cat Max reel. Obviously you can see it's quite dirty from all the chicken liver and fish guts I've put on it over the years. I should probably clean it. But this is a Cat Max, like I said. It's a 5:2:1 gear ratio reel. 4 bearings, nothing too fast. Reels in at a very good steady pace. That way you're not jerking the fish in too fast, worrying about losing the hook set. But I have it on a roughneck 7-foot medium heavy. Now this is actually a bass rod I have this on. Now I fish a lot of ponds for catfish. I'm not a super big river fishing guy for catfish. If I did, I have another setup that's made for that and the ocean. But this, I like this because it's a nice sensitive rod. I can fish this in larger creeks if I wanted to also. It's got a good sensitive tip. On it I have 50-pound braid. Most times I'll carry a steel leader, and I'll show you that one I've got on here real quick. So one tip I will say when you are keeping your catfish rods stored, keep the drag loose, otherwise you could tend to wear out the drag. So most times when I go catfishing, on most of my rods I've got a good 1-ounce bank sinker. If I'm going to be in a place with more current, like a river or something, obviously I'll go up. But I always use steel leaders because catfish have not necessarily teeth, but if they're on your line for a while, if you're fighting them, especially a bigger one, they have these like sandpaper patches in their mouth, more or less. And having a steel leader usually prevents that. And where I fish, there's a lot of gar too, so that we've got a lot of alligator gar up here now, so this definitely comes in handy. And if I ever wanted to take this in the ocean and catch 200-pound sharks, I could. It's very thin. If I don't use this, I'll usually use a monofilament leader, which is pretty good as well, but nothing too fancy. Just a nice little steel leader, 50-pound braid. So that is the first setup. Let's get into the second one real quick. Quack. So this is probably like the one I'll take with me if I'm driving around somewhere. If I go down to my aunt's house in southern Missouri or northern Arkansas, this is probably what I'll carry. I've got a 8-foot heavy. This is actually a saltwater rod. Let me see if I can undo that. This is a Cat Max reel as well, but only this one is a spinning reel. On this I have, I think, 40-pound monofilament line. No, 30-pound. It's 30-pound monofilament line. Nothing too fancy. I should probably loosen the drag on that. This is really red-necked, I would say, because I've got hose clamps on there, or pipe clamps rather, that I've wrapped in electrical tape so I don't cut my fingers open. I've caught some really big catfish on this. A good spinning rod is never going to do you wrong in the world of catfishing. Even if you've got just a basic medium action bass rod with like 12-pound test, that's going to be good for whatever you do most times if you're fishing in neighborhoods or whatever. It really just depends on how you reel in the fish. This one is obviously made for bigger catfish. I think the biggest catfish I've caught on this is 16 pounds. So like I said, it's an 8-foot one. It's in 2 pieces. The reason I like the 2-piece ones, I could transport them a lot easier now since I don't have a truck anymore. 8-foot, like I said. I don't think there's anything that's on this rod. This is an old rod. I got this as a gift like 10 years ago. Silstar 280 BWS, 8-foot. It's a medium action, made in Korea. It doesn't even say North or South Korea, so that shows you how old it is. So that is the second setup, a good Cat Max spinning reel. The reason I like Cat Max, they're pretty effective and they're reasonably priced. Both of these reels, the Cat Maxes that I have gone over, are anywhere from $40 to $70 wherever you get them, which is basically a Bass Pro. I picked both of mine up for around $50 a piece. I like them. They're easy to use. They work, and if I lose it in the river, a big old catfish or a river monster takes it down the river, I'm not going to be crying all night. So the next and final one, this is probably a lower end one, but nonetheless it's one of my favorites. This was actually the first catfish rod I ever got. I've had this one since probably 2014. I have 25-pound monofilament on here. It's a Zebco Hogseeker. This is a get out of the way rod. It's a I think an 8-foot rod as well. Let me double check because I'm 5'5". Yep, it's 8 foot, so it's way taller than me. Very simple. I get all of mine muddy. Last time I used this was in the spring, so it hasn't been used for a while. When you get this, something I will recommend, it's pretty annoying. It's got, or at least this model did. It had a little beeper down here that you flipped on that would apparently tell you when the fish is hitting, but it never worked. All it did, if you're fishing at like 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. in the middle of the night in a neighborhood, is it would beep and it'd piss off the neighbors. So I would just take the batteries out of that. It's pretty simple. It's got a sensitivity lever for that, so if if you're fishing a smaller area, you can turn it to less sensitive or more sensitive, I guess. But yeah, I also have I don't have a steel leader on this one actually. This is just another 2-piece one. Let's see if I can take it apart. There we go. And if you're getting into catfishing, it's a lot of fun. I don't do catfishing a lot anymore. I'm mainly a bass and a crappie fisherman. But the good thing about a rod like this, or the previous one I showed you, it can fold up like this. Now, if you have a backpack or just a basic towel, you could wrap this up and put it in a suitcase and fly with it if you had to, which is pretty good. Obviously, it wouldn't be the most ideal situation, but you keep this in even if you have like a small little sedan like a Honda Civic or something, put this in the back seat, a couple boxes of tackle, and you'll be ready to go. You pair something like this with a Mustad catfish kit where you've got all the hooks you need. Obviously, I would get some weights too. Weights are pretty hard to find right now because fishing shortages. They can't produce enough for the demand that's out there because of the beer flu going around. But I picked up these the other day. They are some black painted eagle claw laser sharp 1/4 ounces. Most catfishing you do, I would go anywhere from a 1/4 ounce all the way up to 1 ounce. Anything heavier for that for basic ponds is just gonna be too much, and it'll probably get weeds and grass wrapped around your bait. So yeah, that is the third one, the Zebco Hogseeker. It's proven itself pretty well. I've caught probably 100, 200 catfish on this. I will say it is not the smoothest reel out of the 3 of these, but it gets the job done. And another thing I'll add real quick, on a good catfishing spinning reel, you want to have one heck of a knob, because when anybody who's caught big catfish knows, like a double digit, they're yanking away and pulling. You want to have something big you can just reel them in and crank them in. Without that, you're probably gonna, it'll be more difficult to reel in the fish. So that is today's video for y'all. I hope you all enjoyed. Please do me a huge favor and smash that subscribe button if you haven't. That would mean a lot for me. And I will see you beautiful people tomorrow.